Folks, let me tell you why condos are suffering the most. And then I'll get into the latest home prices and insights for condos across the GTA for week ending December the 4th, 2024. When you look at the condo market, there's a lot of different reasons why we pinpoint why our prices slanting down, why there's so many condos for sale. There's all sorts of ideas you could throw out there. Many of them will be right. You could say, oh, these interest rates, they really complicated the condo market. It's true, but interest rates, the elevated interest rates, they also complicated the freehold market. There may be even an argument to say they complicated the freehold market more so because of the price points of the freehold market. If I had to point to fundamental differences, maybe behind the scenes type differences that it's not always apparent, there's two main reasons. One reason actually we spoke about in last week's show on condos, where we talked about over the next 1, 2, maybe 3 years, there's a ton more condos coming online that are currently in construction phase that will be available for sale, closing, I shouldn't say available for sale, but closing, which in turn, a lot of them will come back onto the market. That's very different from the freehold market where, the incubation period in the condo market from pre-construction sale to actual finished product could be 3 to 6 years on average, we'll say. Well, in the freehold market, it could be 1 to 2 years on average, 2.5 years. So in the freehold market, since the peak to now, those people that bought pre-construction, they've already realized and closed on these homes. There's not a ton of freehold inventory coming onto the market that is going to flood the market, where the pre-construction for condos, that's exactly what's going to happen over the next couple of years. Lots new. So that's a major difference between condo and a freehold market. Here's another, and could be the root of the biggest difference because it goes right to the psychology of the freehold owner versus the condo owner. When I do a search on all the properties available for sale, and we'll start off with the freehold market, and I try to pinpoint which of these freehold properties are investor owned. I'll put in search criteria, for example, tenanted, vacant. I want to know how many fit into that category. And let's just assume that vacant is an investor a freehold property, and tenanted naturally is an investor. And I look at all the freeholds available for sale versus how many I'm thinking are now tenanted with this search that I'm doing. And the number is 1/3. 1/3 of all freehold properties currently for sale on the market will say are tenanted. 1/3. That's a big number. 1/3 are investor-owned freehold properties. When I do the same search for condo apartments, and for both searches, I'm using all the GTA, so Toronto, Peel region, York region, Durham region. When I do all that, for condo apartments, the investor-owned that are currently for sale, it's 2/3, more than half, 2/3 of all condos current for sale are either vacant, so let's just, again, assume that those are investor, or they're tenanted, currently tenanted. 2/3. That there alone is a huge difference as to how those two markets are affected. If you own a freehold property and you're running into financial trouble and you have a condo as an investment, you're dumping the condo. You're going to get rid of that condo. And you may be more open to taking a lower price if it's not selling. If you're a freehold homeowner and you don't have another investment condo, but you're having financial problems, well, you'll cut back in other areas. But you're going to do everything you can to hold on to your principal residence. Well, we know 2/3 of all condos currently for sale are investor condos. It's an investment. They're going to dump these. If they foresee a problem with their investment leading into the future, they're getting rid of it now. There's less emotional attachment. It's not their principal residence. These condo owners, 2/3, they're going to get rid of them. And that's why they're coming onto the market. And that's why over the next few years, we're going to see more and more of these coming onto the market, because that percentage is not going down. You see, it's these investors that bought a ton of pre-construction condos. They bought everything up, and that's what inflated the condo prices. It's those same investors now that are the root cause in many situations with condo prices coming down and staying down, because it's not their principal residence. It's a whole different mindset, principal residence versus an investment property. That's the root. I don't know how many people are talking about that, but that's what we're seeing out there. 2/3 of all condo apartments currently on the market for sale are investor type condos. If you feel this video can help somebody you know, please pass it along. If you get value from what we're talking about, subscribe. If you want to speak with me about your real estate situation, selling, buying, it's really simple. There's a link to my calendar here, another one below this video in the description. Click on that, book a time that's convenient for you, and we'll talk about whatever's on your mind. Now, let's get into the numbers. Here we go, folks. Condos for the GTA. Before I get into that, I just want to bring everybody up to speed as what's happening with power of sales. I did talk about this yesterday on the freehold market for the city of Toronto, but when I talk about power of sales, this is for all home types. It's just a summary of power of sales. And let's not, well, I've got a line here for November backwards here. The orange, that's this year's power of sale listings. The blue, that's for last year. And if we look at it, we could easily see the power of sales this year far outnumber the power of sales last year. And if we look at year to date up to November, 580 last year, this year 1,018, that's a 76% increase in power of sale. But that's for all home types. It's not just for condos. Let's look at condos, but broken down over a multi-year period. And these numbers are by month, not by week. We'll get into the weekly numbers that I normally do in just a minute here. But for month ending November 24th, and I've got each month highlighted in black all the way back to November 2020. So we're going back a few years. For November 2024, 1,127 condo apartments were sold, which is higher than what we sold last year, which was 824, and more also than what we sold 2 years ago in November 2022. So sales are higher today than they were over the last couple of years. For November, average sold price is $713,000, and 713 is lower than the previous year. It's lower than the year before that. It's lower than November 2021. Since November 2021, which was just before what we call peak pricing, average sold price looks like every November has been a little bit lower. And we are currently sitting at a 1% lower average sold price for condos than last year. For the freehold market, if you remember yesterday's show, for detached properties, it's the opposite. Average sold price each November over the same period has increased slightly each year. For condo apartments, it's decreased slightly. So versus last year, we're 1% lower. Versus the previous year, 2022, we're 2.7% lower. Versus 2021, average sold price today is 4.4% lower. However, versus 2020, we're 11.4% higher. So when we talk about in our show or in conversations and we say, if you bought then, here's what you could expect, you're probably losing money. Or if you bought then, you're probably going to sell for more than what you bought it for. It's taking these averages and looking at that. Now, I've got areas here circled. There's the spring of each year. Usually we see an uptick in activity, in volume, and usually we see an uptick in average sold price when it comes to the spring market. This is true for the freehold market. It's true for the condo market. And I'm saying this, but I don't want you to think, oh, my condo will be worth more this spring. That's not necessarily true. There are other factors that tend to bring up the average sold price, like the more luxurious condos, the higher, more expensive condos tend to come onto the market in the spring, and we see that change. They tend to come off also during the winter months, we'll call it the off season, if you will. So that will also affect average sold price. So your condo may be worth more in the spring. It may not be. I don't want you to base decision on an overall general. Every seller has their own set of unique circumstances that need to be analyzed to decide what makes sense for you. Our regular program, we're going to be focused on condos for Toronto, for York region, and for Peel region. We're going to start off with the city of Toronto, condo apartments. 175 were sold. 22 of those were at $1 million or more. Now, 175, the previous week was 185. The week before that was 207. Are sales coming down? We normally see towards the end of the year, at some point in the fall market, sales go up, and then they start to trend down. It's been a couple of weeks now where we see fewer sales each week. I put a question mark wondering, have we started that trend? Average sold price did shoot up a bit. It's now at $710,000. $710,000 is 5% higher than where we were this time a year ago. The median price is 2% lower than where we were this time a year ago. And both average price and median price over the last, I'm using the dotted line, the 4-week moving average, over the past 2.5 months, prices actually seem, although they fluctuate, overall seem kind of flat if we look at the 4-week moving average. 175 were sold, a quarter, 25%, sold at list price or more. Listings, we're seeing fewer listings. Now, 521 is more than what we saw last week of 477. So listings from 1 week to where we are now did increase, but overall, listings are trending down. Active listings are trending down, so there's fewer condos available for sale. That doesn't mean there's not a lot of condos for sale. There's a lot versus how many are actually being sold. Months of inventory, overall, over the last, say, 6 to 8 weeks, it's pretty flat. We're sitting at 6.1 months of inventory. 6.1 is at the higher end of where we've been over the last 2 weeks. The last 6 to 8 weeks. But months of inventory also, if you look a little bit shorter, 5.6, 5.9, 6.1, maybe are starting to trend up a bit. We're going to have to watch and see. Here's the city broken down into 9 different sections. Just to pinpoint a couple of areas, Etobicoke, the average sold price is $703,000. They're sitting at a 5.1 months of inventory. And about a third, 32% sold at list price or more. Uptown, the Willowdale, Bayview Village area, average sold price is less than $700, $682. About a third, 36% sold at list price or more. Months of months of inventory there is 4.2 months of inventory. Scarborough, really low average sold price of 584. Now, when I say really low, I'm comparing it to the city overall. Downtown Toronto, average sold price 704,000, 8.4 months of inventory. So the whole city, we say averages to 6.1 months of inventory. Downtown, we're sitting at 8.4. Here's York Region condos. Sales seem to me, but just slightly trending downwards. 38 condo apartments were sold. None of those sold at list price or more. Average sold price, it's up from the previous week, but overall trending down, sitting at 644,000. 644 is 2% lower year over year. The median price of 638 is 2% higher year over year. Both median price and average price, if I look at the dotted line, the 4-week moving average is trending down slightly. 38 were sold, 21% sold at list price or more. Listings trending down. Active listings trending down. Months of inventory, 5.2 months of inventory. It's tough to kind of see which way months of inventory are going. I mean, if we just go back over a few weeks, we see 4.9, we see 6.5, we see 7.0, 5.3, now we're 5.2. It's really tough to see a direction right now. Here's Peel Region condos. The majority of these condos are being bought and sold in Mississauga, but I'm using all of Peel Region. 26 were sold. None of those were at $2 million or more. Average sold price down quite a bit from the previous week. 559,000 is the average sold price. It kind of looked like prices might have been trending up, but now we've come way down. 559 is 4% lower year over year. The median price is 7% lower. 26 we said were sold, only 19% sold at list price or more. Listings trending down. Active listings for Peel Region condos, I said it last week also, they were trending up, but they did come down this week. And months of inventory, sitting at 7.5 months of inventory. That's a little bit on the high side, and it looks like months of inventory. It's just been a few weeks. Looks like it's heading up, but we've had many weeks of being in the 8 to 9 months of inventory. Again, back here, 8 to 9. There's only 3 months on the board, so we've got the whole fall market here. We've seen 8, 9 months of inventory. We're right now at 7.5 months of inventory. Here's a quick summary. Depending on the building, you're either going to experience a balanced market or a buyer's market. There's lots of condos available. Even though we say sales are coming down, active listings coming down, fewer listings, it's still very much a buyer's market, maybe a balanced market, depending on condo price, building you're looking to buy in or selling. Thanks for watching. Have a great day.